I clenched my fists, struggling to breathe as my world shattered around me. My wife, the woman I had cherished more than anything, had given herself to another man. But not just any man. Him. The one person I trusted like a brother. Someone I had welcomed into my home, into my life. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the messages, each word slicing into me like a freshly sharpened blade. Last night was incredible. He has no idea, does he? I wish I could wake up next to you instead of him. A strangled breath caught in my throat. My grip tightened around the phone, my pulse roaring in my ears. The warmth of our home, the place where I had once believed love lived, now felt suffocating, poisoned by betrayal. Every framed photo of us mocked me. Every whispered promise, every wedding vow replayed in my head like a cruel joke. Confrontation without proof would only give her an escape, a chance to twist the truth into something palatable. I needed to see it with my own eyes. So I waited. I watched. And when she started dressing up more, wearing perfume she hadn't touched in years, leaving home with that nervous excitement she once reserved for me, I knew. The moment she told me she had a work dinner, my heart went still. Late meeting? I asked casually, pretending to be engrossed in my laptop. She hesitated for half a second. Yeah, some clients flew in. I won't be home until after midnight. I forced a smile. Have fun. Her eyes flickered, relief, guilt, or maybe just satisfaction that I remained oblivious. She leaned down, pressed a kiss to my cheek. Love you. I almost flinched. As soon as the door clicked shut behind her, I grabbed my keys. I knew exactly where she would go. The drive was long, every red light testing my patience, every slow car an obstacle in my path. But nothing could stop me now. Not when I was so close to the truth. When I reached the outskirts of town, the neon glow of a secluded hotel flickered against the dark sky. My stomach twisted as I pulled into a parking lot across the street, hands clenched around the steering wheel. Her car was already there. My breath came in ragged, uneven gasps. Pain. Fury. Betrayal. They churned inside me, threatening to consume me whole. Then, like a nightmare unfolding in real time, I saw him. Ryan. He stepped out of his car with the casual ease of a man who had done this before. No hesitation. No guilt. He adjusted his sleeves, ran a hand through his hair. And then the door opened. Sophia. She stepped out, and the smile she gave him, it destroyed me. That smile. The one that used to belong to me. The one that made me feel invincible, like I was the center of her universe. Now, it was his. They embraced. His hands roamed her body with a familiarity that made my blood boil. Their lips met in a slow, intimate kiss, her fingers tangling in his hair as she melted into him. My vision blurred with rage. I had seen enough. The car door slammed behind me as I stepped out. Ryan barely had time to register my presence before my fist crashed into his jaw. The sound of knuckles meeting flesh echoed through the empty parking lot. He stumbled back, a groan tearing from his throat as he crumpled against the hood of his car, clutching his face. Sophia's scream sliced through the night. Oh my God! Stop! But I wasn't listening. I grabbed Ryan by his collar, hauling him up before slamming him back down against the cold metal. My pulse pounded in my ears, drowning out everything except the raw betrayal coursing through my veins. You really thought I wouldn't find out? My voice was low, venomous. He gasped, struggling beneath my grip. It's not what it looks like. I barked a bitter laugh before slamming him down harder. Not what it looks like. You've been screwing my wife behind my back. For how long, Ryan? His mouth opened, closed, searching for an excuse. But his swollen lip and the sheer terror in his eyes told me he had none. Sophia shoved at my arm, desperation thick in her voice. Please. You're going to kill him. I turned to her, my breathing ragged. You don't get to plead for him. My words dripped with disgust. You don't get to ask for mercy. Not after what you did. Tears welled up in her eyes, but I felt nothing. Not love. Not pity. Just rage. Ryan seized the moment. His knee shot up, connecting with my ribs, forcing me to stumble back. He shoved me off, wiping blood from his mouth with the back of his hand. You think you're the victim, he spat, his voice shaking. You drove her away. You were never there. She needed someone, and you weren't there. My fist found his stomach. He collapsed, gasping, arms wrapped around his gut. Sophia dropped to her knees beside him, hands shaking as she touched his face. "Stop. Please." I stepped back, chest heaving. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to keep going, to make him feel every ounce of my pain. But then I saw her. The way she hovered over him. The way she whispered his name. She had already made her choice. I swiped my hand across my mouth, tasting blood. Whether it was mine or his, I didn't care. The fire inside me dimmed, replaced by something colder. I looked at her one last time. "You ruined everything." My voice was hollow. "And for him." Her sobs deepened, but I didn't wait for her excuses. I turned away, leaving them in that parking lot, the place where our marriage had officially died. I wasn't going home. Not anymore. I drove with no destination in mind, the weight of betrayal pressing down on my chest like a boulder. Streetlights blurred past, their yellow glow illuminating the emptiness inside me. My knuckles throbbed from the impact of Ryan's face, but I barely noticed. Sophia had begged me to stop. But she had never once begged for me. She hadn't fought for our marriage. Hadn't even tried to deny it. And somehow, that hurt more than anything. The woman I had built my life around had thrown it all away for a cheap thrill. And now, I was the one left with nothing. I passed our street without slowing down. There was nothing left for me in that house, just a bed she had shared with me while thinking of him, just walls that had echoed with her lies. The thought of stepping inside again made my skin crawl. By the time I reached the city limits, my phone had vibrated at least a dozen times. I didn't check. I didn't care. The only thing I needed now was distance. I kept driving, letting the road stretch endlessly ahead of me, the darkness swallowing everything I left behind. By the time the sun began its slow ascent, streaking the sky with hues of orange and pink, exhaustion weighed heavy in my bones. I pulled into a run-down gas station at the edge of nowhere, the neon lights flickering like they, too, were struggling to stay alive. My reflection in the rearview mirror was unrecognizable. Bloodshot eyes, a clenched jaw, a face that no longer belonged to the man I once was. I barely recognized the stranger staring back at me. Stepping out of the car, I stretched stiff limbs, my muscles aching from the hours spent gripping the wheel. Inside, the cashier barely glanced at me as I grabbed a bottle of water and some pain relievers. Just another nameless traveler passing through. As I reached for my wallet, my phone vibrated again. I hesitated. The screen lit up, illuminating the darkness of my thoughts. 27 missed calls. 15 messages. All from Sophia. A sharp exhale left my lips as my fingers tightened around the device. I didn't want to read them, I wanted to erase every trace of her from my life. But some twisted part of me needed to know what she had to say. "Please come home. I can explain. I never meant to hurt you. Where are you? I'm scared. Ryan is in the hospital. What have you done?" I scoffed. What have I done? She had torn my heart to pieces, shattered every promise we had built our life upon, and yet I was the villain. Without another thought, I turned my phone off, tossed it onto the passenger seat, and drove away from everything I had ever known. Days blurred into weeks. I drifted from town to town, taking cash jobs, construction, bar work, anything that kept my hands busy and my mind numb. I didn't speak unless necessary. I didn't tell anyone my story. I became a ghost. At night, in dimly lit motel rooms, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, haunted by memories I couldn't outrun. The way she smiled at him. The way she never looked at me like that anymore. I had spent years building a future with her, believing she was my partner, my home. But she had destroyed it all in a single moment. One night, nursing a whiskey in the corner of a dingy bar, my phone buzzed again. I had kept it off for weeks. Curiosity won today. I expected another flood of messages from Sophia, but instead, it was my brother, Liam. "Pick up." I sighed, stepping outside into the cool night air before calling him back. "Where the hell have you been?" His voice was sharp, but beneath it, I heard something else, concern. I exhaled slowly. "Nowhere." "Jesus, man. Sophia's been looking for you everywhere. She's losing it." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. She should have thought about that before she spread her legs for Ryan. Liam was silent for a long moment. "Look, I know you don't want to hear this, but she's a mess. Ryan left town after you beat the hell out of him. She's been alone ever since." I stared at the cracked pavement beneath my boots, kicking a loose rock. And maybe you should come back. Get your stuff. Get closure." "Closure? The word tasted bitter on my tongue. There was no such thing. I ended the call without another word. But that night, for the first time in weeks, I found myself wondering if disappearing had been enough. Or if I needed to return. Not for her. Not to fix things. But to end it on my terms. I parked a few houses down from what used to be my home. The sight of it made my stomach churn, a place that had once been filled with love, trust, and laughter now reduced to nothing more than a crime scene of betrayal. The porch light flickered weakly, casting long shadows across the driveway. Her car sat in its usual spot, but something about it felt wrong. Maybe it was the knowledge that I no longer belonged here. I took a slow, steady breath and stepped out. Before I could knock, the door swung open. Sophia stood there, barefoot, drowning in one of my old hoodies. Her eyes were swollen, her cheeks streaked with dried tears. For a brief second, I almost saw the woman I had loved. The one who used to light up at the sight of me. But that woman was gone. "You came back," she whispered. I didn't respond. She stepped aside, motioning for me to enter. I hesitated before crossing the threshold. The house smelled the same, lavender and vanilla. But the warmth was gone. It felt hollow. "I didn't know if I'd ever see you again," she admitted, wringing her hands. I stayed silent, taking in the place that had once been my home. Framed wedding photos still hung on the walls, but they were nothing more than cruel reminders now. She followed my gaze. "I never stopped loving you." A cold laugh escaped me. "Is that what you tell yourself?" She flinched. "I made a mistake. A terrible, unforgivable mistake," her voice broke. "But you just left. And you expected me to stay." I cut her off, shaking my head. "After what you did. After him." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Ryan was never important. He was just," she hesitated. "I don't know." My jaw clenched. "He was enough for you to throw everything away." She looked down, ashamed. "I regret it. Every second of it. I miss you. I miss us. I'll do anything to fix this." I studied her, waiting to feel something, longing, love, even anger. But all I felt was emptiness. "I didn't come back for you, Sophia," I finally said. "I came back for me." Her face crumbled. "What does that mean?" I exhaled slowly. "It means I'm taking my stuff and leaving. For good this time." Desperation flickered in her eyes. "You don't mean that." She stepped closer, reaching for me, but I took a step back. "I do." My voice was firm. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "We can fix this. We can try again." I shook my head. "No. You broke this. And I won't be your second choice." Her sobs filled the silence as I turned away, heading upstairs to gather what little I still cared about. Clothes, a few books, my grandfather's watch. Things that belonged only to me. When I came back down, she was still standing there, arms wrapped around herself, as if trying to hold her world together. But it was already shattered. I stopped at the door, looking at her one last time. "Goodbye, Sophia." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. But I didn't turn back. Stepping outside, I inhaled the crisp night air. Freedom. Sliding into my car, I didn't look at the house again. I had vanished once before, running from the pain. But this time, I wasn't running. This time, I was free.